Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday to you, July 17th, 2025. I've got all of your stories for your rush hour ride to work. And on today's episode, we have an update to the tragic death from the ghost hunter who passed away after handling the haunted Annabelle. And then we've got Jax Taylor saying he will not be back for the Valley as he works on himself. And then the big deposition was supposed to be today for Blake Lively. Well, now we find out it has been delayed several more weeks. I'll give an update to the emergency meeting that led to the delay. And then, of course, more on Epstein and the insane resistance coming in from all over, really. We've got podcast pundits. We've got Shane Gillis at the ESPY Awards. We've got everybody talking about this. It really is the biggest pop culture story in the world right now. And will we get a response by Trump that doesn't turn on his base? He's really painted himself into a corner, but we're going to continue to cover that story and so much more. It all starts right now on The Rush. And how about this story to start with? Tomorrowland Festival, which is supposed to start this weekend. Not much to look forward to tomorrow, says TMZ. The whole stage has burned down. Can you believe that? Look at this. An unbelievable fire. Luckily, nobody has been injured or died in the fire. I think they might still go on with the festival, but I have to say, that, my friends, is how you do a fire fest. I mean, that's it, right? All right, so let's go to Jax Taylor. Not returning for the Valley Season 3 to focus on recovery. Bravo, future uncertain. Now, I'm the type, there's a lot of people that say, oh, get off my screens. I'm the type who likes to see people recover from their demons and be better versions of themselves. But at the same time, when you're a work in progress, sometimes you have to do that work away from the cameras. Whether you watch Bachelor in Paradise or, mixed martial arts, whenever there's a stage involved, people are going to be playing up to their egos, right? And the stage of Bravo really shows, the toxicity because, like for instance, if I have a verbal argument with my wife, I don't have an audience watching where I feel this need to dunk and slam and get things right. No, it's like I want to give and take, and I want to make sure she feels loved, and I want it to be a situation that's resolved, not won. And that's the problem with a lot of folks, whether it's through their ego, is situations that are won lead to people being single because the real winning is compromise. But again, his issues are far bigger than that, of course. He's got rage issues, and I think he's mentioned, a few different things going on there, along with working on his sobriety. I hope there's a version of him that's way better, but it's one of those things. Actions are louder than words, and it's going to take a hell of a lot of time and work for him to get there. So good luck to you. Maybe if there's a season 4 of Bravo, he can come back and, be a better version of himself. All right. Big story of the day, Blake Lively. We were supposed to have our big deposition today. The clients were flying into New York for the deposition. She already said, please, can we not have it at Brian Friedman's office? Can we have it at my lawyer's office, Home Field Advantage? The judge agreed to that protective order. Now she wants it rescheduled. They rescheduled it for July 31st, several weeks away. Well, the highly anticipated deposition in her legal fight has been pushed back. Now, you might say, this is it a delay tactic? No, it could very well be a delay tactic. Brian Friedman and Justin Baldoni's side has agreed to it. So they're calling it a mutual decision, although, as you'll see from the beat reporter Inner City Press, it actually appears as though the clients were in the air, as far as we know. Who are the clients? Was it Justin Baldoni? Was he literally flying back from Hawaii or wherever the heck he is? Either way, dear judge, written by Blake's side, Plaintiff Blake Lively writes to respectfully advise the court that following today's emergency hearing, counsel for the parties met and conferred and mutually agreed that in light of the court's order dismissing the Wallace parties and Miss Lively's right to amend the complaint on or before July 30th, Miss Lively's deposition will be continued until July 31st. And, we've got the beat reporting from the Inner City Reporter, which, is kind of interesting. Essentially, Jed Wallace, his case was dismissed because it can't be tried in New York. So Blake Lively can retry that case. So her argument, I guess, was, well, can we push the deposition back? Because we don't even know all of the different players that will be involved. So the judge says, have you proposed other dates to Justin Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman? Gottlieb, which is Blake Lively's lawyer, says, I have called him. The judge says, let me hear from the counsel for the Wayfair parties. And then Wayfair's lawyer said 3 attorneys have flown in from California and the clients are midair. Now, is that Steve Sarowitz? Is it Justin Baldoni? Now, I don't think it's too common for the actual parties to be at the deposition, but maybe because there's so much he said, she said happening, maybe they want Justin Baldoni there. So if Blake Lively kind of makes a statement that is not factually true, Justin Baldoni could say, I don't know, that's not what happened, and then they could kind of get down to the truth. Wayfair's lawyer says, given Miss Lively's wealth and New York domicile, I don't know what the burden would be of more than one deposition here. We are ready for tomorrow. Miss Lively should not be entitled to special treatment due to being a celebrity. Now, of course, this being after Blake Lively's side said they only want to do one deposition, because Justin Baldoni's side said, well, we plan on doing the deposition tomorrow, which is today, and we also plan to do future depositions. And her side saying, no, you get 7 hours, one deposition. And while 7 hours seems like a lot of time, if you're Blake Lively and you want to give long, rambly answers, you could probably filibuster that relatively quickly, whereas they want to leave no stone unturned. The judge, though, got snappy. The judge said, don't throw around accusations. Your client is also a person of high profile. Neither was known to me, even their names before this case. Whether they have celebrity for now is irrelevant. Celebrity can be fleeting. Wayfair lawyer says, okay, cool. It sounds so bizarre, though. Now, clearly, Blake Lively's got a much bigger celebrity than Justin Baldoni. If you follow this case, you understand why. I mean, was able to get him fired from the agency, and of course, she was able to commandeer the film on her star power and whatnot. So the judge isn't having any of it, but I don't know. A lot of people don't have much trust in the judge right now. So those are your Blake Lively updates, which, I find very interesting. And Blake Lively's former friend, Taylor Swift, definitely won't be at the deposition. Although her dad is recovering from heart surgery, says he's doing fantastic. Had a heart procedure several days ago. Let's see what he had. He had a quintuple bypass surgery. Over a month ago. But he's recovering well, so good to hear that the Swift family's doing fine. Now, I don't believe Taylor Swift's father will enter this legal battle, but never say never. Again, never say never. He, of course, was giving Baldoni information regarding Blake Lively extorting Taylor Swift. Whether or not that's true or if that information will make its way to the surface, not sure yet, but a lot of wild things going on with that court case. Okay, speaking of wild, hold on, stick around. This is interesting. Today's podcast is sponsored by Rula. Finding the right mental health care should be simple and affordable, but for many, it's not. Finding the right provider can make getting help feel overwhelming. That's where Rula comes in. Rula connects you with in-network licensed therapists that accept most major insurance. Their users typically have a copay of $15 per session, making therapy more accessible than ever before. From finding the right therapist to helping you schedule appointments and monitoring your progress, Rula is there to help. Join the thousands who have already turned to Rula for support on their journey to better mental health and well-being. Getting started is easy. Just visit Rula.com/rush-hour today. When you sign up, they'll ask how you heard about them. Please support our show by letting them know we sent you. It's a simple way to help us while you take the first step towards the care you deserve. Go to Rula.com/rush-hour now and connect with a licensed therapist who truly cares. Your mental health matters. I tried to share this story with my wife. She was like, I don't want anything to do with it. And I understand. The Annabelle doll, which there was a movie about, is considered to be a possessed doll. And we've been covering this for 3 days now. Well, an investigator named Dan Rivera told coworkers he was feeling ill just hours before his death. Now, he actually painted this little house for the doll using holy water and the stains. They carried the doll with metal coated gloves. They would recite, Bible verses and stuff. And yet again, it could be confirmation bias that it just so happens he got sick, eating, maybe, had some sort of poisoning. Nobody knows yet. We'll find out, but nobody knows yet. But here's what they say. Adams County Coroner Francis Dutro tells TMZ Dan was surrounded by coworkers Sunday morning. They parted ways when he told them he was sick and needed to go back to his room to rest. We're told the coworkers hadn't heard from him in a while. They went to check on him, which is when they found him dead. Dubrow tells us EMS was called, but they couldn't do anything to help when they arrived. The official autopsy results won't be ready for a couple of months. Now, I mean, it's a bummer. He died in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania Sunday, on tour with the haunted Annabelle Doll, which inspired the eponymous 2014 film. Lorraine and Ed Warren, the OG investigators of the doll, claim the doll has a demonic presence. Now, don't take my word for it. Here they are speaking of Annabelle. Again, they have since long passed away, but they were a ghost couple, paranormal experts, of course, kind of the most famous, really, of all time. And they housed this doll in this protective house, box that they made for it, and you weren't allowed to open it or let it out of the box. Now, before I share this clip, here is the moment that Dan Rivera actually was removing this doll. I mean, it's wild stuff. Have a look. And by the way, just so, and not to creep people out, don't look this doll in the eyes, whatever you're doing.
Put it in.
Now it says this is exactly why we shouldn't play around with stuff like this. This is them pulling the doll. It's a Raggedy Ann doll. And this is them moving it from one house to their mobile house. They have a priest with them, I think. Right. Holy water.
In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
And then there it is. The world tour continues to haunt states, and they're taking it around. Now, here are the words and advice from the Warrens. I don't think they would have liked this.
One of the most famous would be Annabelle. Mm-hmm. This is a Raggedy Ann doll that's made like thousands of other dolls, except that this doll was used in communication, almost like having a seance. Mm-hmm. A nurse had received the doll 1971 as a present, a Christmas present from her mother. And the doll stands about 3 foot high, and she would take it to bed with her at night. That's common enough for girls to do. I take a pillow. Some people take a doll. Girls that like that, even 28-year-old ones. And after a few nights, she lived with another girl who was a nurse. Both of them St. Hartford or Hartford Hospital.
Was Hartford Hospital?
Yeah, it was Hartford Hospital, honey.
And they were on the same shift, and so they worked together, they lived together, they shared the expenses. And one morning she got this idea to bring the doll from the bedroom into the kitchen where they were having breakfast, and she put it in a chair. And she said, "Oh, Raggedy Ann here's going to have breakfast with us today," joking around. Okay, well, that was a joke. Then, the next thing...
Bless you.
The next thing, she brought it down again the next morning, and the next morning. But the third morning, they're talking to the doll, and the arms of the doll are on the chair like this. Suddenly, they went up and onto the table.
Nope. Okay. I got goosebumps. Come on. Don't freak me out.
Now, this didn't frighten them. This intrigued them, to the extent that the one nurse said to the other one, "One of the nurses knows a medium. Let's ask her about this. I'll bet you there's a spirit in that doll." That's what they did. They asked this nurse about it, and she said, "Yeah." She said, "I know a woman who is a medium. I'll bring her over, and we'll hold a seance." It was a joke, just a game. But it didn't turn out to be a game.
Jesus Christ. Save us from that clip. Why did I share that? Oh, boy. Either way, I mean, honestly, I'm not making a mockery of it. It's a wild story. The news is starting to pick it up. I don't mean to mock this guy's death because I feel terrible for him. I mean, he did nothing wrong, and he probably just got sick. It probably has nothing to do with the dang doll. But I don't want to mess around. Keep that thing away from me. All right. Well, I guess that's it for the first half of the episode. That's a weird energy to go with all of that. We're surviving it. All right, coming up next, we're going to continue the talk of Epstein. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll have to click through to that next video. If you're on the audio-only podcast, that story's coming next.